Picture this. You walk into a packed coffee shop. It's loud, right? Cups clinking, people chatting, the usual chaos. But over in the corner, there's just one person sitting completely alone, staring out the window, totally lost in thought. Now, what is your immediate assumption about that person? I want you to hang on to that thought, because in today's explainer, we're going to completely flip that assumption on its head. Welcome to a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of the human mind.
So let's go back to that question. Most of us look at that solitary figure in the cafe and instantly jump to a single conclusion. We assume that being alone equals being lonely. It's just a natural human instinct to link physical separation from the group with sadness or isolation. But human behavior is rarely that simple. In fact, psychology shows us that some of the absolute smartest, most highly intelligent people in the world don't just find themselves alone by accident, they actively choose it.
Let's look at part 1, the illusion of loneliness, rethinking solitude. Okay, let's dive into this. What are they actually retreating from? When we see someone choosing to be alone, it's incredibly easy to project our own social insecurities onto them. We figure, oh, they must lack social skills. But the truth is, they're escaping the noise. Just think about your own daily life. From the second you wake up, you're bombarded. Constant text messages vibrating in your pocket, the endless scroll of social media feeding you competing narratives, and perhaps the absolute loudest noise of all, other people's opinions telling you what to think, how to act, and who to be. When you're constantly surrounded by this overwhelming wall of static, your brain barely gets a single uninterrupted chance to actually think for itself. Highly intelligent people deeply understand this trap.
They aren't running away from people, they're running toward pure mental clarity. By turning down the volume of the outside world, they can finally turn up the volume of their own internal processing. They know a really profound secret. Their absolute best, most complex ideas only surface when nobody else is around to interrupt the flow. Solitude basically acts as a filter, clearing away all the static of social expectations and leaving behind pure, unadulterated focus.
Moving on to part 2, the inner circle, redefining relationships. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why they rethink their social lives. For the average person, a social circle might look like that massive slice on the right, dozens of friends, loose acquaintances, a really wide but shallow network of social ties. But for the highly intelligent individual, their social energy is focused entirely on that tiny concentrated slice, the trusted inner circle. They deliberately choose to have fewer but significantly deeper relationships. Instead of spreading their energy paper-thin across dozens of casual friends, they focus intensely on a small, carefully curated circle of people they genuinely, deeply trust. It's the ultimate manifestation of quality over quantity.
Now, why is this strict filtering of their social energy so necessary? Well, intelligent minds are relentlessly curious. Whether they're reading, meticulously acquiring new skills, obsessively solving problems, or deeply exploring complex ideas, these activities demand immense, unbroken focus. And deep focus is practically impossible when you're constantly distracted by a massive social network demanding your attention. They literally need that uninterrupted time to feed their curious minds.
But it's not all sunshine. Let's look at part 3, the curse of overthinking, the dark side of intelligence.
As we pull back the layers here, we uncover a darker reality. Being highly intelligent doesn't automatically make life a breeze. It often manifests as a relentless mental engine that simply won't shut off. Because their brains are wired to process information at such a high level, smart people frequently fall victim to overthinking. They walk into a room and instantly notice a dozen tiny details, subtle social cues, and complex patterns that most people entirely miss. While that's an incredible superpower in problem solving, in everyday life it can be utterly exhausting.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound emotional weight behind it. Because they analyze everything so deeply and see details others miss, highly intelligent people often feel a sharp sense of disconnection from the people around them. And it's vital to understand this nuance. They don't feel disconnected because they think they're superior or arrogant. They feel disconnected because they genuinely feel different. They're just operating on a different frequency. This is precisely why they value solitude so much. It provides a safe harbor. It gives them the much-needed space to process their heavy, complex thoughts without the outside pressure of trying to fit into a world that doesn't quite see things the way they do.
Which brings us to part 4, solitude versus isolation, knowing the difference.
It is incredibly easy to hear all of this and just assume that intelligent people want to lock themselves away in a dark room forever, but solitude and isolation are entirely different. So the crucial point is that healthy solitude, the kind we've been exploring, is an active, empowering choice. It's a tool used for growth and clarity. Isolation, on the other hand, feels forced. It's a painful state of lacking connection when you actually desire it. Smart people intimately understand the difference between the two. The goal of their solitude isn't to avoid people out of fear or sadness. The goal is to strategically protect their mental energy and their focus.
They've truly mastered the rhythm of human connection. They know exactly when it's time to step out into the world and connect with their trusted inner circle, and they know exactly when it's time to retreat into their own minds. Because they understand a really simple truth. Sometimes, the most transformative conversations you will ever have in your entire life aren't with your friends, your family, or your colleagues. They're the quiet, brutally honest conversations you have with yourself in the sanctuary of your own solitude.
And finally, Part 5, where growth begins, a new perspective.
So let's head back to that crowded coffee shop from the very beginning of our explainer. You see that person sitting in the corner, reading quietly, seemingly perfectly content, enjoying their own company? Next time you see that, what will you assume? I really hope you no longer jump to the conclusion of loneliness. Realize they aren't isolated. They're protecting their focus, analyzing the world deeply, and engaging in vital internal conversations. Because as we've learned today, sometimes stepping away from the crowd and embracing the quiet is exactly where true mental growth begins. Thanks for joining me on this explainer into the hidden mind. Keep observing, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.